Hey everybody, off the top rope here off the Mike Sports Network. Was peering over at Collision results, and as I'm watching college basketball, because if you watch Collision, you're really a sicko. That's really what that show is for. But they did an angle on this show that is a microcosm of just how messed up this company is. So Swerve Strickland is doing a promo. Basically, he's the number one contender. He's supposed to be the number one contender because he won a match that was for the number one contendership at the pay-per-view AEW Revolution over Ricochet. He gets attacked by Jon Moxley, who is currently the world champion. One problem. This would all be great if there wasn't one problem. Jon Moxley has a world title defense on Wednesday in a street fight against Adam Copeland, a sequel to one of the worst main events in the history of this company, one of the worst main events in wrestling pay-per-view history. So this is my main critique and one of my main issues with AEW and how they go about their business. This would have been a perfectly fine angle if you didn't have the world title match happening on Wednesday. Because here, a couple things are wrong here. Number one, you have basically spoiled how this match is going to go. John, and I didn't expect Adam Copeland to win this match, but I fully expect that, Jon Moxley is going to retain. It's going to be Jon Moxley versus Swerve at Revolution, at Dynasty, not at Revolution, at Dynasty, in Philadelphia in April. That's what I fully expected this to be. So if you were going to do this angle and not have the world title match and have some way to get there and create this convoluted way to just, set up a match rather than doing an angle, this would have been actually a fine thing to do. But now, since you announced the title match, which is clearly at this point, a way to do ratings or something, or maybe it was just, a political power play from both of these guys, maybe Adam Copeland, because, he wants a title match and, you have creative control. So listen, the point here is there are so many better ways to handle this situation. Oh, it's not to mention it's on Collision on conference tournament Saturday in college basketball, which a lot of people are going to be watching that, and they're not going to be watching Collision. Aside from the point that since CM Punk left, Collision's been a largely irrelevant show. But I was intrigued by this because of the fact that, hey, they are trying to set up a world title match for a pay-per-view. And, Jon Moxley, kind of asserting his authority and attacking him with, I think it was a crowbar or something, goes after Swerve Strickland. And it's like, that's great. But in reality, in the terms of the storyline of what they're trying to tell us, he may not be the world champion, but we know he's going to retain based off of this attack. So not only is AEW going the very predictable route, they're doing it the completely wrong way. Like, had there not been this scheduled title match on Dynamite that they're doing, which is a rematch, which I see no reason for them to do because it was a universally despised main event from even the sickest of the sickos in this community that love AEW to death, said that match was awful between Jon Moxley and Adam Copeland. And you guys, and I've spoken glowingly, but Adam Copeland's ego is starting to rear its ugly head. And Jon Moxley, this is the worst version of him. But at least this was an intriguing angle. But the problem is you have that roadblock that's in the middle of this whole thing that is, oh yeah, we're having a world title match on Wednesday. A street fight between these two guys who put on a stinker 10 days ago. Like, what are we doing, man? Like, sometimes AEW just thinks that they're so smart and they think it's so creative because they can't get to a certain point without doing a match or without doing a tournament. But in this case, had you done this and, you have him attack Swerve Strickland, you sort of set up this angle and, you have the Death Riders maybe go after more of the people related to, Swerve Strickland, maybe Nana or, some other people within AEW that he is close with. You do something like that and you sort of build this angle and this storyline up until we get to Dynasty, the pay-per-view. That's how this should have happened. And if that would have been the case, this would have landed so much better than, just doing this. And then, oh yeah, by the way, Jon Moxley and Cope are having a title match on Wednesday for the World Championship. It's like, gee, I wonder who's going to win now. So it's just, I saw this and I was just like, what in the fuck is going on? Like, this is basic stuff basic stuff that if they nailed this type of basic, fundamental principles of, wrestling booking and wrestling storytelling, then they'd be fine. They would be in a lot better place because there are talented people there that have their egos, like, stepping into the forefront, exercising their creative control. And it leads to this bullshit where they're, "Oh, okay, we're going to do a tournament that's going to determine Kenny Omega's challenger for the international champion. Gee, I wonder who's gonna win that, because it's irrelevant because Kenny Omega's going to win. John Moxley, like, it's clear as day if he makes this attack of the who is the number one contender and he's the world champion. Why is he focusing on Swerve Strickland when he's got to defend the championship? Wait, what? It's just, man, they try to, take these shortcuts, and it just makes them look so amateurish and bush league. And I'm rooting for Swerve Strickland to end this thing. I've said long before that I think that Hangman would be a great choice, but it would take a longer road to get there. And I think, if Swerve's the guy, it seems like that would make the most amount of sense. But this could have been a much better executed angle had they not just done the simple thing of, hey, let's not have a world title match on a random Dynamite in Omaha, Nebraska on Wednesday, 10 days after. And it's the same match, except with a street fight stipulation that is a sequel to the worst main event maybe in the history of in the history of wrestling pay-per-views ever, across any promotion. I can't think of a worse main event and a worse ending than what happened at Revolution. And that's a shame because Revolution was actually a really good show. Did some stuff over the top, but it was a good show. People think I don't like AEW, but it's just like I point out flaws. And that's why a lot of you come to the channel. I am real. I am nothing if not an honest man, okay? I deeply care about good wrestling. And when I see talented people not putting their maximum effort, or, you putting their egos in the way, or, a Mark running a company and, not doing the basic principles to, like, get to tell a story, and then you have something like this convoluted mess happen where, again, world title match didn't need to happen. And then if you do this angle, and then you have, the Death Riders just, come back and just run roughshod over AEW and over people that Swerve Strickland values, then maybe this is a much better way of getting to Dynasty. But now here we are. I'm sure it'll be a great match. I hope Swerve Strickland wins, and I hope that we just end this Death Rider storyline. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it. I will see you guys soon. Bye-bye.